The question is not, are you an artist? The question is, what kind of art will you leave behind? Would to God I would have learned this earlier in my life. Churches can control people in ways that governments can't. When you find something that is a difference maker to other people that don't know your background, develop that, stay on that. That turns an influencer into a real impactor. And somebody who can make something out of their life.
Hey, my name is Lauren Floyd Turner, and this is Lyric in Motion. Welcome to Lyric in Motion. I am so excited about today's guest. I have only known him for a couple of years now, I think, and I know him as this energetic entertainer, great singer, but he has had a ministry for many decades, and he's inspired so many, and I can't wait to get into a great conversation with this rock and roll Reverend Brady Weldon. Thank you for being here. I'm so excited to chat with you. You are such an inspiration, and thanks for taking time to come in. I know that so many people will get so much from what you have to say. And first, want to start out by you're from West Tennessee.
Yeah.
Where are you from?
I come from Western Tennessee, northwestern Tennessee, about 10 miles from the Kentucky line, a town called Martin, Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
And raised there. I'm the youngest of three, and I have an oldest brother named Cameron. I have a middle sister, Melanie, and then me, the baby, the accident. And my family's gone to great lengths since I came out of my mama's womb to tell me what an accident I have been.
Oh my gosh.
My mom growing up would say, "Oh, Brady, you have such potential, and it's going to be amazing one day. But until that day comes, take these pills because we can't handle your hyperactive ADHD, you know."
Oh my goodness.
Crazy stuff. But I have been, I'm a blessed guy, and I'm so excited to be here with you. I really am.
I mean, how did it start though for you? Because I know that you've had a ministry.
Yeah.
For so long. And where did that all start? Like, did you grow up singing and stuff as well? And then where did the ministry start to come into?
I did. I mean, my first love was Elvis. I'm aging myself. My first love was Elvis. My first concert was Elvis Presley.
Yes.
And I was angry. I was so angry because I thought I was Elvis. Who's this guy down on this stage? And I went to sleep during the concert in my mom's arms. And but I'd go home and get in the kitchen, put the dish towel around, throw the dish towels out to the neighbors and do Elvis concerts, And then Journey came along and Kiss and all these other crazy ones. And then I went off into the deep end of just all kinds of music. I was the last person in my family. My brother was made to take piano lessons and be creative. My sister was made to take piano lessons and try to be creative. They can barely play a radio. I came along and they said, "Well, we're not gonna impose these rules on him." And I'm the one that came out, ready to tackle the world with whatever, But I grew up, like I said, I grew up in a small town, and it was one of those things where I entered into my own head real early in life. My parents went through a divorce when I was about 9 years of age. And I think, and I've not been psychoanalyzed about it, but I think at that moment was when I started spending a lot of time in my bedroom, developing my imagination, I've toured the world just from holding a tennis racket, playing fake guitar in my bedroom,
Gotcha.
I toured the world. I used to put tour dates up and do all that stuff, It was crazy. I was very creative.
Wow, yes, you were.
I was a puppeteer by the time I was 8 years of age. had all the big puppets with the hands and did all those. It was always creative. It just started very early. I have, to this day, I have so many great conversations with all the voices in my head,
Yeah.
And it's just been amazing. But ministry came along to me. I come from a trucking family. My grandfather started a trucking company a long time ago. And a man who was my pastor of a small country church I went to drove part-time for our trucking company. I ended up skipping school and riding on the road with him. And he was my communication hero. I would sit and listen to him preach these sermons, and he wasn't some dry as crackers or entertaining.
Yeah.
He was straight to the point, old school,
Yeah.
But he was such a loving man and a mentor to me that I sat mesmerized listening to him take like Bible stuff and make it make sense. And that started my journey into how do you communicate what is inside of you to the world. And my studies began, now that I think about it, since you've asked that, my studies in creativity and artistry kind of began around that time. And, if you go into the maternity ward here in the hospital in your town, nobody's ever going to say, oh, no mama's ever going to say, look at my new baby, so ordinary. Such an ordinary looking child. Nobody ever says that.
Oh.
And I believe it's because ultimately when we are born, there are no ordinary children ever born.
Yeah.
But tragically, we have so many people who, even though none of us are born ordinary, tragically, so many people die ordinary. And what we have to do is I know in my life, I've been able to be around people who have continued till their deathbed to push that envelope. And I think we're all born with potential. We should never die with untapped potential if we can help it. And man, that has been my journey. That's why I'm such a mess. I push myself. Sometimes I push myself, and then sometimes I don't push hard enough. And that's the stage and the ages that we go through in life, And but growing up, I look back now and I see that music was always a part of my life.
Yeah.
Creativity, and then later on, I mean, I was diagnosed ADHD and dyslexic before we could even spell those words, and I'm telling you, that actually has fueled, not hindered, my own creative aspirations.
Man, Brady, I want to go back to what you just touched on about not dying ordinary or not leaving this world, because, wow, that really hits. Because I know, obviously, no one wants to feel like they've done that, but it's challenging to tap into your potential. You really have to find what that is that drives you. Because I even know for me, I'm like, I don't ever want to leave this earth if I, not having the time to make sure I fulfilled a purpose.
Sure.
Right? Doesn't mean that we have our moments, to go through.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, we get so challenged sometimes.
Yeah.
To not be able to do that, whether it's just earthly things of comparison, of judgment, of where am I from? We ultimately have to just kind of believe in ourselves and take that plunge to get there. And I just, what is one of your thoughts on that? Because you minister to so many people now. I mean, not to get away from, getting back to, growing up and all that, but that just really hit me hard because it's so true.
Yeah. I believe that every human being is created to be creative. Yeah. We have every person. You think about the animal kingdom. A silkworm doesn't wake up in the morning and go, "Should I make silk or polyester today?" A honeybee doesn't say, Are we making soft drinks or are we making honey
we had
today?
Some soda or some. Wow.
The difference between the animal kingdom and humans is that we have something that they don't have, that any other species does not have, and that is we have imagination. Now, our dark imaginations, and every person that's watching this knows that there are moments in our lives when dark imagination rules our thinking and our forward progress. We all have that. For me, it started very young. The dark images, the dark thoughts, where are these coming from? I had no idea, which is why I would spend a lot of time by myself in creativity or just being alone, because a lot of times people are isolated in their dark imaginations. But those other imaginations are how we're sitting in this room. This equipment is here because it came out of somebody's imagination. These chairs we sit in are here because somebody imagined them before they became into being. And so to me, artistry and creativity, and we can define whatever I think those are, and that changes by the week. But but the truth of the matter is that we are surrounded by the fleshing out of people's imaginations. And the key is that every person, I believe, is created to be creative. They also are an artist. And I will say that sometimes in front of a crowd or wherever I'm speaking. And I'll say, you're an artist. And they'll look and say, but I don't paint, I don't sew, I don't sing, I don't do anything. And I say, no, wait a minute. You have to understand that your life is the single greatest, most singular work of art that there is known to humanity. The question is not, are you an artist? The question is, what kind of art will you leave behind? Because if I know that one day when this life ends, I've left something behind, and that's just a way to make an impact in people's lives. The animal kingdom doesn't think that way. Humans, we get the capacity, we have the capacity to create futures, if you think about it. If you think about what's the most spiritual thing somebody can do, or the most innovative thing, people say, well, somebody that might be spiritual watching, or might say, well, meditation. That's great. A Christian person might say reading the Bible, or somebody else might say, sitting out in the woods or being grounded, But before you do any of those things, which many of them, most all are great, you have to do something else. You have to choose. I have to choose to meditate. I have to choose to do something. We live in a generation right now, and of course, I know I'm going way far in our interview here, but we live in a generation right now where everybody is interested in being an influencer. But one of my mentors said, if you don't have anybody following you, you're just taking a walk. I want to be able to be a person that when I turn around, I have created something that has impacted others.
Yes.
That creates influence. We have a generation now that thinks a selfie it makes you an influencer. A selfie doesn't make you an influencer. Only impacting others for good, I believe, is what happens. And when it comes to songwriting, let's say, we're around a lot of songwriters, a lot of artists. I don't feel like, and of course I'm a spiritual person. I've been a minister for 3.5 decades, but I've always said not everybody's called to sing about their faith.
Right.
But at least do two things. Tell the listener the truth about whatever you're feeling. And number two, don't ever leave them thinking that they can't get up or get out or get better. And if you do those two things, I can't guarantee you a hit record. I can't guarantee you millions and millions of followers, but I can guarantee you somebody in this world will relate to the darkness that you've come out of. And your past misery can be a mission for impacting others. To me, that's when creativity becomes, all right, now we're on the way. And I sit here now and I think back on my life and I think, my goodness, even us talking about this, it's like, would to God I would have learned this earlier in my life, because I would have probably not been. I'm cramming for finals at this age. I'm trying to make it to where we can get to the finish line. But I defined creativity as the ability to impact others for good. Yeah. I define artistry as the ability to create something that other people will look at and be inspired by. And so that could be, that's a multiplicity of things,
But that is so true. And I do believe that as you, call it age, call it experience. Because some people can have this experience at a very young age or even much older age. But, those times, what maybe defined a moment for you to realize that Because I remember that, I mean, even now, I'm still coming out of probably, I've always tried to be a positive person.
Sure.
I've always seen the light. You know, it's like, oh, you're just positive. Well, yeah, I try to see the light in things.
Sure.
And in life, there's things in life that will knock you down. So the longer you live, unfortunately, the more, you know, you will feel some of those things.
Man.
But I remember just thinking not too long ago, probably even like last year, of how much even a year made in my life that made me understand a couple of things, right?
Oh, man.
But I'm talking years.
Yeah.
So was there a defining moment for you that you just knew that you could say what you just said? Because I think that's the other thing. Like, I feel really confident in some things that I've learned through my own like walk with, you know, with God, or my own grief journey, or any kind of journey we go through that grows us.
That's right.
And I'm sitting here listening, and I'm going, how long has that felt really resident to you, and that you can just say that?
As long, it's been in me as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
My problem was that I surrendered to Christian ministry. Okay. And I still am. I'm still doing what I do. I just crossed my 42nd denomination. Now that sounds like a lot, but there's, you know, Christian denominations in America, there's over 1,600, and they all think they're right. You know, so, you know, my problem is that a lot of times faith talk is a legalistic, it doesn't unleash creativity, human creativity. It squashes it into a belief system, which is why if you have somebody who goes to a church that's watching, what happens many times is we have turned the Bible into a behavior modification book. Think about it this way. Churches can control people in ways that governments can't, because it thus saith, you know. And even as a young person, that violated my freedom.
Yeah.
It violated me as a person. We've forgotten that the God who created us works through human beings. And I began to see that there was a world outside of my tribe that suddenly was looking to me going, well, you said, whenever I was somewhere speaking, you mentioned, and I've never heard that come from a traditional preacher or a motivational speaker or a whatever, a creative artist. But when you said, and I thought, I don't know what you said, but I'll go back and look. And I would go back and look, and it wouldn't even be in my notes. But it's been in me as a child that there is a realm of creativity that can impact people in this world in ways that governments can't do it, that churches and faith and nonprofits and for-profits and entrepreneurs can't really do it. But if somebody starts tapping into, and a lot of times the creativity that I've seen come out of a lot of great people like yourself, really was the trampoline for it was the darkest moments of their life.
Right.
And I have been known as a shepherd of the shattered for, you know, over 2 decades. If you're broken, come on, I got you. So out of that and trying to help people walk through their pain, and I'm not a counselor, I'm just on a platform just lacing a message with gasoline and going off, you know, and stuff. But what I've realized is that there is a journey that every single human being in front of me is on, and every one of them are different. But we all end up at the same place, and that is a deathbed. And I read a book years ago by a guy named Randy Posh. It was called The Last Lecture. And it was a little bitty book, and I think I was in an airport and picked it up. I'm so thankful I did. Randy Posh, you can look on YouTube, whatever. Randy Posh was a university professor, and he got, I believe it was liver or pancreatic cancer. And he wrote this little bitty book, and the college said, hey, let's film you talking about the book. And they did. And he got to the end of it, and he said, I wrote this book, and I'm doing this video for my children.
Wow.
Because I'm going to be gone soon. And he said, I'm on my deathbed. And he made this statement, and I'm telling you, Lauren, it impacts me to this day. He said, on your deathbed, It is not the things you did in life that causes you the most pain. On your deathbed, it is what you never tried.
Yes.
It's what you never stepped into. And I'm telling you that it made an impact in me. And so I began to see that there's a complete realm of human beings outside of a church realm, but in the world, who need to understand that there is a creative artist that is buried underneath either religious rules, rapes, divorces, pain, family issues, daddy issues, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
Failure. Because failure can be a state of being just like faith can or success can.
Or success, right.
And my passion is to walk people out of their ditch and let them see that whether you're dancing, whether you're recording a song, whether you're painting, whether you're sculpting, whether you're pouring into a group of people, whether you're writing a book that's been stirring in you for a gazillion years as yourself, then you come to a place where you go, this is not a moment for me to wait anymore. Because if you spend your life waiting on somebody to attaboy something that's been buried in you all these years, I mean, it's either going to canker and die, as my grandmama used to say, or it's got to be unleashed into the world before you die.
What you just said is what I know that I mean, personally I've been learning because it's like, you can either just give up, and just not try anything and just do whatever, and then you will regret that you didn't try. So then you have to get in within yourself and, well, I'm going to try it. Yeah. And really, who do I have to answer to? Yeah. Except myself, and for me, a higher power, God,
Absolutely.
And at the end of the day, it's like, there you have it. And I mean, that sounded like so simple. It's not that simple.
No, and I'll tell you what happens. Yeah. What happens, it's happened with you, it's happened with me.
Yeah.
It's happened with all of us in this room. And it is this. We wait, we become afraid because people will peg you by how they first find you. When a lot of people first found me, I was a hellfire, brimstone, Baptist preaching fool. I mean, just because if growing up, that's all I heard. If all you ever heard was jazz music, you'll never write a Metallica song. Right. And so I just grew up hearing, just preaching. So when I came out of the gate, I was like, little 19-year-old dude. And there's nothing wrong with mentors. I want that to be clear. Mentorship is the greatest thing somebody who's starting on a journey,
right,
like you've started, like I started. Mentorship is imperative. You have to have that. But if you continue to wait for everybody who first found you to go with you and change with you, you'll die with their opinion about you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
You will die. So I have began to embrace the journey that you may, I mean, I have people that send me social media messages. Somebody commented just yesterday, said, you were speaking in a church in, 1995, and you're just one of the great. And I'm like, dude, if you've not seen me, I had a head full of hair in 95, I mean, I have changed,
So much evolves within time,
And it's true with every human being. Think about it from a physiological, biological standpoint. A body that doesn't change is dead. And faith and religious people will always peg you by how they first found you. And if you show up in a realm or a lane of traffic that's 10 years, 20 years later that they didn't see you in back then there's your haters. There's the people who you thought would walk with you through this journey. My advice to any creative or creative in the making is do it.
Right.
Creativity and artistry, the first thing when you hear those two words, you need to think risk. Because there's freedom in it, but there's also risk. But you have to take the risk. And I'm still learning. I mean, and we'll talk about the next steps, but the realms of risk have never gained me more followers in the existing tribe.
Sure.
But it has gained me a group of friends and tribe and people that I now see as, I mean, most of the people that we're around right now, they never came to a service that I was speaking at or a conference or anything like that. And that's okay, because that means I'm at ground zero and there's another start. And that's happened to me over and over and over and over and over. I mean, in my 20s, I was crazy. In my, the faith people called me crazy. In my 30s, I was a heretic. You know, you ain't right, you know, whatever. In my 40s, I didn't give a crap, you know. And now where I am, I'm just like, you know, if you're gonna jump and you're gonna take a risk and hope this parachute on your back is gonna catch you, you have to believe in betting on yourself. You have to.
You have to. And sometimes that's a large lesson.
Oh,
I know
my
that
goodness.
I'm still learning that. But that brings me to, which is so interesting, because I only know you as on stage singing.
Yeah.
And meaning I have, unfortunately not gone to a lot of things that you did so over decades.
Yeah.
And I'm so always inspired when we're all talking and we're talking about creativity, our lives, and it goes so much deeper than just entertainment. But you're, like you said, we're all creative in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And you are definitely stepping out of probably a little bit of a comfort zone, just as I am. And it's still things that you already did, you already know, but maybe it's a different way of doing them. Yeah. Like me talking right now on a podcast is different than me singing or dancing or choreographing, right? It's just a totally different animal, but within the same thing. Yep. And I am excited because I know that you're going to be starting some more music. Yeah. And the Rock and Roll Reverend is such a great name because it just embodies a whole bunch of inspiration from you, Brady, because, not only you're a great singer. I don't know if have you done much of that? I mean, like, when I saw you, in my mind, oh, Brady, cool. Where's he been? You know, he probably plays all over the place. I didn't know that you probably didn't. Yeah. Yeah. That first night, it had been over 30 years that I had sang a rock song. Like 30 years of singing, like you said, a rock song. A rock song. I've done some gospel stuff and things like that, but but now in my shower and in my car, I mean, it's old school rock, and I don't apologize, Well, okay, but what is your connection to rock music? Man, is it an energy? Is it a vibe? Is it the lyrics? Is it all of that? It's everything. Yeah. It's everything. Music is a universal language. Yeah. Me behind a pulpit is not a universal language. And so I began to see that and I began to have relationships with people who didn't have anything to do with atheists, agnostics, people that didn't have anything to do with my tribe that I grew up with or that was following me. Yeah. But we were friends and we become friends, and they suddenly realize, oh, he's not a judgmental bigot. He really is a nice person. He really cares about me as a person, and and I at least I hope so. I know you do too when we're with people. But I've always loved music. I've always loved it. I've been a drummer since I was 2 years of age, beating on the pots and pans in the kitchen. My friend down the road, when I left my bedroom with my tennis racket, I went down to his basement and we put tour dates up and we toured the world and put a stage in his basement and we toured the world. We later got into music together. Wow. He got a guitar, then I got drums, and then I ended up singing in a band with him. Went from the drum set out to the front because they didn't have a singer. Then I could just squeal and make noise, and so I've always loved and been involved in music in some shape, form, or fashion. Always. And I've just always had a connection with rock music. When I was a little boy, and I'm the youngest of three, like I said, my brother started taking me to concerts with him, and my sister did. And so they knew I was loving it, as a little kid with the cutest little blonde bangs. Use your imagination now, because there's nothing up here now. I look like a roll-on deodorant. But I was always in love with music. And Shannon suddenly was like, hey, my boss I'm working for has a studio, a nice theater, and he put the guitar down 30 plus years ago, and he's picked it back up, and he just wants to put a band together. And
we're going to start putting some shows on, or they were putting shows on. She started working with him. Then I got to meet him. We became friends. Yeah. And then he started dogging me, saying, just come up and do a song sometime. And I played hard to get for a while. And then one night he got sick. And he was like, here's the set list. And I looked at the set list and I said, I can't sing John Cougar Mellencamp. I can't do it. I just can't do it. That's not me. What I realized is it was just apprehension. And it was the fear. It ultimately was the fear that I would be seen in a light that somebody else wouldn't know me.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah,
that confliction
it's always
what you feel like, this is what people see me as. Mm-hmm. I also have this. How do I merge them together? Which I feel like now that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
That you found this place where I'm like, wait a minute. I can do both.
I give Shannon all the credit in the world because she saw the vision and I didn't. And because I know how people peg you, how they first find you. And a creator and an artist doesn't operate in those terms and in those realms. And I never did, but I would still, I always talked about, to use the term out of the box, I would talk out of the box, but I'd never stepped out. For the first time in my life, I began to live my life as if there is no box.
Wow. What a concept, because we all do that to ourselves, or other people do it for us, and we kind of, just go along with it, and you don't realize it sometimes until it's too late.
Yeah, exactly. So it's true in choreography. Yeah. The only thing in choreography that you have to deal with is you have set parameters. Don't dance past that mark. Don't dance past this mark. The great movie directors who used to direct Jim Carrey, crazy Jim Carrey, they would say, you don't direct Jim Carrey. You just say, don't go past that spot, don't go past over there. Well, that's creative, that's artistic. Right. What does a painter do? The only parameters for a painter, if he wants them or she wants them, is just the size of the canvas.
Right.
Anything on that canvas is wide open. I had to come to a place and realize that there are gifts and talents buried within me and every other human being that if they could come out would make an impact. And now I'm on a stage singing 80s and other rock songs. And it's turning into a worship service.
Exactly.
It's the craziest thing because you preface a song like, I don't know, some song that has hope lyrics in it. And you preface it before the song begins and you say, there are people in this room tonight who have literally been through hell in the last year. They've been through pain and garbage and loss, and they've lost children, and they've divorces and car wrecks and pain galore. But you're still here. So at least tonight, let's get a level playing field that everybody in this arena or room or whatever theater, you have survived and you are still alive. And now let's stand up and sing "Living on a Prayer" by Bon Jovi.
Exactly.
And people are standing out there bawling their eyes out. You've been on stage and seen it. I mean, we've sung together. I mean, it's like you look at it and people are just like, they didn't expect it, which I love that because you go around the back door. I call it back door. You go around the patio of somebody's house and knock on the patio. It'll freak them out in the house, right? Versus going to the front door. You go around to the patio door of people's lives. Suddenly they realize, I have made it. I have been through this. And when we go to concerts here in Nashville, I go to arenas and these artists they're preaching hope to people. And that's helped me to just kind of go, you know what? Yeah, I've been known as Preacher Brady all these years, but there's 8.5 billion people on this planet. And I can either entertain my tribe over and over, or I can get out of this box and just tap into a realm that I've left dormant for years. And man, suddenly that beach ball comes up out of the pool blown up, and it's just like a magnificent time. And I love it. And that's just one of the things that I'm trying to accomplish right now. And it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Well, you found the way to still, like you said at the beginning, you're sharing hope and good for people. And and a lot of times we get caught up in situational things. So for instance, people will go maybe to a Broadway show. maybe there's foul language in it,
Mm.
you know. Then they go to something else that had foul language. Like, I've never going there again because I had foul language. Well, it's all situational.
It is.
You know, and
It
it's,
is.
you know, this person goes to Vegas, you know, and does something different than they would do. And,
Oh, yeah.
you know, I'm just saying, but it's all like situational. So if you found a way that you can say, hey, living on a prayer might be a rock song, but let's do lyrics. We're all saying the same thing, kind of in a different way.
Absolutely.
And it's just bringing more unity to people.
I think
you know?
so. I think so.
I know it is. And I know even, you know, not knowing as much of your background and seeing, I'm just so excited for you to be starting it's kind of a you know how we always kind of reinvent ourselves and you're kind of reinventing yourself to make all of those parts that you've always felt fit together.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's music. The style might be rock because that's the vibe you feel. It's an energy. And then the message is still the same.
Yeah.
It's still about hope
Absolutely.
and love and finding a way to, you know, have unity and
Of course.
and all that. And I think that that's what's the important message right here. And even, you know, if music is universal, I love that. It's so universal.
Yeah.
We all, gosh, music, dance, all of that creativity really helps people out. But to find a way to really reach people in all different capacities.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't have to be one way,
No.
you know? And I do understand that we get defined by whether we do it to ourselves, whether other people do it, and it's really hard to break that mold if you even have another idea.
That's right.
Like,
Well,
you
and
know?
a lot of the fear. I wrote a book on fear. It's called Fear is Broken, and I have another one coming out called The Undoing of Not Doing, which is about hesitation. And what I have realized for myself, and it was autobiographical completely, is that my procrastination will always be propped up as long as I think somebody else might be either disappointed or will be have a sly remark if I step out of a lane that they believe me in. And with young people especially, that's why I'm seeing the 19 to 20 plus year old people right now, they understand something that it's taken us a long time to understand, is that it's okay to step over here and step over here and step over here and throw things against the wall and see what sticks. That's fine. But what I encourage younger creatives with is simply this. When you find something that is a difference maker to other people that don't know your background, develop that, stay on that. That turns an influencer into a real impactor. And somebody who can make something out of their life. Because our attention span is also crazy now. I mean, the average TikTok videos is less than 3 seconds of watching, and we're scrolling on. That's the other part of this. You know, we're sitting here, you're sitting here, I'm sitting here, and we are at the stages and ages of our life that I think everybody under us should be listening. And the reason they should be listening is not because we're pros, but because you have to gain courage to unearth and mine the diamonds that are down inside of you. If you don't, then you're waiting on somebody else to come do it for you. And that's never a good thing. I waited years for somebody to recognize me. And I tell young people all the time, young creatives, I say, look, if what you're coming up with, like this rock and roll reverend thing, I have no point of reference. There's nobody I can go look to and say, show me how you did this. And I tell young people, if you find something that you can't find anybody else, that they're really doing what you're dreaming of or you're planning or you're praying about or whatever, go lean hard into that, because that means you are knocking the wall down.
Right.
You're the one that's going to be the instigator of influence for people's lives, you know, and that way you don't die with the potential that's in you. And I'm living that way. I mean, I want to be a living, breathing mentor to people to not waste the one life they've got on whether somebody's opinion of them is good, bad, ugly, or, oh, you're so disappointing because you're not who you always were, in my mind. That's not a good place to live.
Right.
That's not a good place to live. You don't need a board of directors. I don't need an attaboy to live a passion and a purpose. Now, we could talk about passions and purposes because that's a whole other realm of this thing. Because a lot of people, your passions can change based on the condition of your liver and the weather and whatever else. Because when people say to me, well, I have a passion for this. Okay, well, it'll die before the day's over, probably. Your purpose is implanted in you.
Okay.
Your purpose is implanted in your life. And your purpose, you will go through, and I hate to not be the bearer of bad news here, you will go through hell and high water trying to dig those diamonds out of you, especially if you're not a copycat. You can either be a great original or a cheap copy of a great original. And I'm working in my life to try to find that lane of originality.
Yeah.
And so I want young people to realize that. I want people who are creatives to realize that man, you've got to deal with this. Think about it this way. Evil people do not sit around and wait for permission to put into place what they see in this world as something they want to accomplish. Evil people don't do that. But good people, godly people, creative people, good people with good homes and good lives and just people that want to just make an impact. For some reason, we sit down on this planet, and people of faith, unfortunately, are the worst because they go, well, we look up into heaven and go, God, look at this mess on this planet. Look at this junk going on. God, you do something about this. And I can hear God lean over heaven's glorious balcony and look down at my stupid self many times and go, I did do something. I created you.
Woof.
Now you go do something. But we hide behind all of this language, especially people of faith. We hide behind be still and know that I am God. Well, everybody that told me to be still were really still themselves. And they're still. And then they die. They're dying. They're friggin' still, at that point. And I'm like, hey, I don't want to be like that. I don't want anything left in my gas tank.
Right.
I don't want anything in my tank. And I don't want, as tough as it is, because we all want that moment of adulation for it, or at least accomplishment. Hey, I did something, And without going down too deep of a trail here, somebody might, because you've dealt with grief and death. Every little boy, now I'm a mama's boy. My mama's still alive. I'm a mama's boy. But every little boy longs for the attaboy of their daddy. And I tried my entire life. My dad didn't go to church a lot. So he was more like I am now. He was just kind of like, I go to church, but I'd be like, but he's just kind of like, yeah, I'm good, whatever. My dad and I lived together, and I was traveling the world speaking.
Yeah.
And we lived together. And he would say, when's your next gig? He would relate me getting on an airplane and going to preach at a church or a conference or whatever, entrepreneurial consulting, as a gig. And I would be like, well, I'm going here, but okay, cool. And that's all we talk about. My dad only heard me speak. He was around probably 20, I can't do math really well, 27 or 28 years of me traveling and speaking. He only heard me speak 3 or 4 times. And I always longed for the attaboy of my father.
Yeah.
And I don't know if somebody will relate to this from a grief standpoint. I know you probably would. But I was speaking at a church, and it was not very far from my hometown. And my dad he was the Marlboro man. He smoked profusely, and he was a big game hunter for 50 years. I grew up in Wild Kingdom. There's animals all over my house that were mounted.
Wow. Okay.
Sorry to all you PETA people out there, but my dad just never came to hear me preach much. He didn't care. And I was speaking about an hour from my house. My dad had emphysema, end-stage COPD. And I get up to speak one morning at this church, and I looked out, and there was my dad. And I couldn't believe it. I preached my guts out. And I walked off of that platform and I looked and my dad was walking out and I saw him leaving. And so I just turned it over to the people, whatever. And I said, I got to go. And I ran out in the lobby. Sweat was coming off of me. And I walked out and I said, Dad, I yelled in the lobby. And he turned around and I walked over to him and I said, hey, Dad, hey, thanks for coming today. You know, I know I've been doing this a long time. He didn't say anything about it much, you know. I know he's proud of me in a weird way. I was like, thank you. And I never knew if my dad appreciated that part of my life. And Lauren, as God is my witness, my dad turned around and pulled me by my shoulders up to him. And he said, son, that was the greatest sermon I have ever heard in my life.
Oh.
And he was dead in 6 weeks. At that moment, the lid of everything that I ever thought I had to stay and become or stay in that lane, it left. It left me. And even standing over his body in his casket, bawling my eyes out, and I preached his funeral. And I'm the world's worst wedding preacher and the world's worst funeral preacher. I suck at both. But something in me was unearthed with my own father's death. Weird. Strange. There's biblical stuff I would throw to it, but I'm not going to get into all that. But for the most part, it was as if my dad said to me, what you do matters.
Right.
And those are the moments that I look back on as I can go any flipping direction I want to go in creativity. And that's been, well, almost 10 years now. I hate that I didn't step into this sooner, but I had to meet the right people. I had to get around the right people. I had to meet the Laurens of the world and the Shannons and the great people here and other folks that God had to put me in the place. That's why you have to get down the road a little bit and then turn around and look back at your life and go, then you see the connections and the things that happen. That's when you know the creativity and the purpose for your life is coming. Passion will go up and down and up and down, but that purpose is developed through things like that, you know? And so I want to impact people for good. I want to impact people I want them to leave going, I can make it. I can get up. I will make it. And if I'm singing stupid rock songs, hang on, because there will be some moments in this that you'll see yourself.
Right.
And so it's a different way to look at it. But that's why I love so much the songwriters today. When years ago, the songwriters would be like, you have to give, life is horrible in the first verse, but the chorus says, but it's going to be all right. Da, 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 jazz hands, that kind of thing. I love the songwriting of these last few years and right now, because they don't always give you a syrupy, sweet solution to the garbage of your life. Sometimes
more raw.
It just tells you like it is. And I like that. I like that sometimes a creator has to look at people and say, sometimes life sucks. Sometimes the choreography and the dance and the steps are not right. But it's not over yet. And if I got up, you can get up. And if she got up, he can get up. And so our lives become impactors to everybody's stories.
Right.
Everybody's gone through something,
Well, I just thank you for sharing that story, because I think that that's really powerful. And I think that I was very blessed, and my father's passed away too, but was very blessed. And I was very supported.
Right.
In this in what I did, whether it's singing, dancing, that whole thing. And there are many people that aren't. I think that what happens is, whether it's your parents or anybody that ends up being, it's that encouragement.
Yeah.
It's that one voice.
Sure.
It's that two, hopefully more voices.
Sure.
But even that one voice that you really trust, that they go, that's good. Attaboy, right?
Absolutely.
Attaboy. Or that's great. And it gives, because a lot of times you do feel kind of, especially if you don't have support.
Yeah.
Or you go through your waves of losing the support you had.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think that is really important for
and
people to know
sometimes
you.
a lot of times the creativity that develops comes out of the darkest times of no support and no attaboy or no attagirl, or people who again want you to stay in their mold that they felt like. You'll stay in your hometown and work in the family business, or you will blah blah blah. Somebody put that on you. And so it takes a lifetime to begin to break a lot of those
it does.
curses and those things that are in your family tree that are spider monkeys that are running around that are trying to tear all the branches up, or whatever.
Exactly.
I when I talk to people, and anybody that's watching this is welcome to reach out to me, you, anybody.
Exactly.
I want them to see, especially if they're sitting there listening to this today and there's something resonating in their spirit or their heartbeat is fast because they go, he's talking about me, she's talking about me. What that becomes is they can begin then to see themselves as an artist.
Yes.
You don't have to be in a recording studio. You don't have to be in an art studio. You are a creative. You are created to create. Don't be afraid to take those risks, because the only thing that not taking calculated risks will do is create a tremendous amount of later on trauma and regret. And I don't want anybody to have that. I don't want to have that. You don't. We've lived long enough. We're the oldest people in this room. So we've lived long enough to see, man, if I would have only stepped out right then. But then you also look back and go, you know what? I hadn't paid the price of preparation either.
Right.
With it. Preparation is key, because everything that you are right now was through the decades of preparation. And nobody likes to hear that.
Right.
We don't want to spend time. We want what we want right now. But you have to.
Realize that it's part of the preparation.
It is.
And sometimes you don't even realize how long you've been prepping.
Yeah, and it takes
for the thing that happens overnight.
It takes a lot of time also for things to get shaken off of you that were put on you that doesn't maybe reflect where you're going. And I use this old example. Those that are our age grew up when you were in school and the pencil sharpener was at the front of the classroom. Old school pencil sharpener. You had to, for those of you kids that don't know this, you had to stick the pencil in and you had to manually, my goodness, how traumatic is that and triggering is that to walk up to the front of a classroom and sharpen your pencil. Oh, you're triggered, No, that's how we live, bro. That's how we did it. Well, here's the thing about a pencil, and I get the craziest illustrations in crazy ways. A pencil is not worth anything of its purpose until something gets shapen and shaven off of it.
Wow.
So until you go through the preparation of getting stuff and people and ideas and ideals, maybe even religiosity, all of that stuff, expectations of others off of you, that's when you become sharper in your purpose. A pencil doesn't like to be sharpened. Of course not.
Right.
And the other thing I got from it is when you take the pencil shavings, what do? They dump them. They dump them in the trash. That's right. But it goes to the landfill. And what happens to them? They become trees, which becomes pencils again. So that's where the multiplication, your purpose and your creativity, ultimately in the end, is not an addition. It's multiplication. I want to live a life that multiplies, not followers, but people who find their own lane. And the more you can give yourself away in those different lanes of traffic, I think that's when the real impact
begins,
and purpose becomes. And I know I'm right because I agree with myself. So, and I'm living in that to try to figure all that out myself. And I love doing it. We have a generation of people who gives themselves titles and their nouns or their adjectives. What we need are people who live their titles as verbs. Action-oriented people. We have to undo not doing. And I really am, and crucify hesitation, destroy procrastination, but be in your preparation, as much as possible. That's all I know. That's all I know to live by now. And Rock and Roll Reverend is rolling out, here every day, new stuff, new lanes of, it's not just one lane. It's, we've talked, it's all kinds of lanes of traffic, and so I'm hopeful, and it's only not to do anything for me, but I want to impact others.
Well, I'm still hearing the influencer becoming an impactor. I love that. Because that's so true. Mm-hmm. It's like you can influence people, but impacting is such a stronger thing.
This show itself, I think about your show here. When an artist sits here and they've recorded music and you put something on that you've created a dance to their song, what are you doing? You're even showing the artist, this is what impact looks like off of sheet music and off of the music download of Spotify.
All of that,
This is a visualization of what we interpret what you were trying to say to the world. That is an impactor. You're impacting, I think, the person sitting in this chair, and giving them kind of an attaboy, attagirl credence for what they're walking into. Because they see a visualization of it in front of them. You're doing the right thing, So this has suddenly turned into the Brady Show interviewing Lauren. So,
well, it is. I mean, all of this. I feel like I want to go back and take all these. You've had so much nuggets of information. You could say one sentence, and I'm just like, yes. But it is true because I know that for me too, with Lyric Emotion, I want to help impact, and it's truly just giving back and, right. and giving that feeling of, goodness.
And I think too, the sooner somebody can begin to walk toward down, well, I'll say this, and this will be my last one-liner. One of the things that drives me bananas, and that's no disrespect to bananas because I like bananas, but one of the things that drives me crazy is when people say to themselves in an instant, I need the right results guaranteed to me before I step out. Woo! I need to know I'm going to win American Idol before I ever even stand in front of my Sunday school class and sing Amazing Grace.
It's kind of like saying I got to get everything in order before I do anything. And we all know, and if you don't know yet, you will never do it.
You will spend your life talking about what you never walked into.
And then you'll have excuses of why you did it. And then you'll look back on that and go, why did I do that?
And I only know that, and you only know that because been there, done that, bought a T-shirt factory.
I know.
Bought a T-shirt
that's our
factory.
T-shirt.
That's our T-shirt, and that's our factory,
Listen, I know that I think we just need a bunch of series with you, Brady, because there's just so many other things I'd even want to talk to you about. But to kind of wrap all this up, definitely want to know more about if there's any place where people can find you. Mm-hmm. We know Rock and Roll Reverend is going to make a big impact. Yeah. I'm so excited for y'all to check that out. There's things brewing that you don't even know yet that is going to be so amazing. And is there anything you can say about, like Rock and Roll Reverend?
Yeah.
So let's
tell them about. Yeah, it's based on it's just literally based on everything we've just talked about. Another lane of creativity, whatever. But even that splinters off into 5 or 6 different roads. We're working on podcasts. We're working on live events. Live events, a big deal. A lot of mentoring. A lot of kind of like what we're doing today, except a room full of people that come in and we pour into them and help them. Materials, books, blogs, everything that comes along with it is in there. A lot of this is already operating. It's just not. It's not in the Rock and Roll Reverend lane of traffic. I've always been doing this. It's just, this title was given to me. I didn't come up with it. And so, but I thought, why not? But yeah, it's rolling out here just as right now. It's as people are watching this, things are coming to fruition and things are coming out. And, they can find us. We have a Rock and Roll Reverend Facebook page. Brady Weldon also has 2 Facebook pages. The Rock and Roll Reverend has an Instagram page. So does Brady Weldon. TikTok, YouTube. All of it.
All the socials.
Yeah.
All the socials.
Yeah. And everything that we do is like you've heard today. It is, I want to, whether somebody's on for 5 seconds or 50 minutes or whatever, I want them to leave and go, he just said something that's right where I'm at, and that's what I love to hear the most from people is when you said, and you've said it today a couple of times, when you said that resonated with me about where my journey is. And I love people. I love to see people win. And I love to see them come out of whatever they've come out of and turn misery into mission, and down the road. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I've been preparing all these years for this.
Well, you have. And, again, you've written books and you've got a new one that's going to come out.
Yeah. It's out now. It's out now. Yeah.
It is?
By the time they see this, it'll be out,
you're right. So, By the time you see this.
That's right.
It will be out. And tell me the title
again. It's called The Undoing of Not Doing.
I mean, come on, y'all. Hello?
And the subtitle.
I want to see that right now.
Well, the subtitle's the killer. The subtitle's the killer. The undoing of not doing. Undoing, there's a big word that people use on social media a lot of times, especially when it comes to faith and religion. They deconstruct. And I said, well, if you deconstruct, that doesn't give you then that doesn't mean you just sit down. You deconstruct whatever you've been through or whatever you've lived through or whatever you want to get away from.
Right.
That doesn't give you an excuse to just sit down and do nothing the rest of your life. So we have a generation of people who spend their life waiting on their spotlight moment. Well, the spotlight shows up. Well, people forget, too, that spotlight puts off heat. When you really get under a spotlight, it burns a lot. And it puts off heat, and it burns. And it also attracts a lot of nasty bugs that try to bite you, And so that's a whole other realm. But we live in a time period now, and I really believe this with all of my heart, that there is an absolute sense of if you just take the steps forward, you will be able to see some incredible results. And it may not be today, may not be tomorrow, but you're going to turn around eventually. And what you've been through or what you've endured, if it's put into creative artistry, it's going to impact and resonate with somebody else.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I am just, as always, so inspired, and I'm so thankful that you came on here and shared. You. I mean, y'all don't even know what else this man has to offer. So much to you. And I know that there's plenty of people out there that already know this and have followed Brady. I'm so excited to see what else is got to happen, because I know that God is getting you even more into your own lane and purpose. And I'm thankful and blessed to know you and Shannon. Yeah. Shout out to Shannon, who is also not only your second half here, partner, but also a dear friend that I've gotten to know and helps with Lyric in Motion and keeps us all straight and it's looking good and just a true talented gem.
And if I can say this about her, I wouldn't be sitting here with you now if it were not for her. I wouldn't be. Everything is becoming because she's a creative. And she's artistic. And if you want to develop artistry and creativity, hook up with somebody who's already gone down the road a little ways past where you are. And that's where she was for me. So now she's dragging me kicking and screaming into these next realms. But the book, The Undoing of Not Doing, the subtitle is where is killing me. Why The Undoing of Not Doing, subtitle, Why Hesitation is Ruining Your Future. We've got to stop hesitating, because the day I came out of my mama's womb, the day I was born, I started dying. And I have to live before I die. Yeah. And that's what I want to do. And that's what I want for you and everybody else. So. Oh my gosh. The words, the impact. Man, Brady, thank you so much. Thank you for being part of Lyric in Motion. Another
creative, for creatives and non-creatives. I mean, everybody's like, what I love what Brady said, because now I can't even say that word, creative. You are all creatives in whatever you're offering back to the world. So I want to thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. The rock and roll Reverend Brady Weldon.